Still being there, Daybreak Show on Rock City 101.9 FM in the city of Abekta, the first for the month of July. Yes, Citizens Forum. This morning we will be looking at one thing that appears to be an idea whose time has come. Or is it an idea whose time has come? Well, a lot of Nigerians are coming out with different opinions, different positions about the need to do something, not just about the unity of Nigeria. Some people have said that is what will even bring about the end of the so-called unemployment. Agitation here and there has led to what people will call restructure. Some people have said, well, we already have a template for what or how to restructure coming from the 2014 National Conference, which the then administration, or the last administration, did not do anything about. Some people have said, no, it's not restructure as you want to have it. It's constitutional amendment. We also have some groups who believe it is fiscal federalism that will be the answer, while we have another extreme set of people who simply says we want to be on our own. These are the different opinions. Yes, it appears that this will not end until the government of the day really do something about it. Even within the house of the governing party, All Progressive Conference, we are not sure of what the position is. Tobi, some have said we did not promise you that when we were campaigning. Some have said even if we promise you that, this is what Nigerians, if we did not promise that, this is what Nigerians are asking for. And therefore, it's time for us to also listen to those voices out there. This is what we'll be looking at extensively this morning. Dele Ayodo is my name.
And I am Tobi, Joseph. Just like Dele said, we'll be looking at restructuring in its entirety. But one major thing that we need to do is to first define restructuring. When we talk about restructuring in Nigeria, what exactly are we restructuring? What exactly does that term restructure mean to an average Nigerian, and of course to the polity and the nation in general? We have someone on the line who will be joining us in this discussion. Of course, we have our guest in the studio. We'll introduce our guest shortly. But we have Alhaji Ibrahim Biu, the spokesman of the Arewa Consultative Forum, ACF. Alhaji Biu.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us on the show.
Thank you very much.
Now, Alhaji Biu, the proponents of opinion is that Nigerians are not satisfied with the present situation of Nigeria. Which would you say is the way forward, or the shortest route to El Dorado? Is it restructuring, or is it constitutional amendment?
Well, you see, restructuring means so many things, so many people. There are some people that think restructuring means resource control. There are some people that say restructuring means going back to regionalism. To some, they say, well, true federalism. What that true means, I don't know. But you see, presently, what we have is we have a democratic structure or institutions in place. And anything you want to do that will affect the fundamental change of lives of the people, then certainly have to involve their representatives in these democratic institutions. To pretend that these institutions do not exist or should be sidelined, in my opinion, is an invitation to anarchy. Therefore, any agitation for restructuring a complex, big and diverse country as Nigeria is a serious business that must take into account all the views of all its citizens, not just those that shout the loudest. Therefore, in my opinion, any group that is agitating for restructuring should first of all sensitize their representatives in our legislature so that they can forward whatever agitations they have either at the state level or at the national level. That is the only democratic means we have right now. As you are fully aware, our constitution has no provision for referendum or for any other thing that one can channel grievances or views through. The only avenue we have now is through a legislature, both at the state and the national level. So, if we want a genuine restructuring, then we have to follow this due process through the legislators that we have.
Now, Alhaji Biu.
Yes, let me just say this.
Okay.
Any restructuring that is not fair or just or equitable to all, then certainly is bound to fail. So this is my opinion.
Okay. Now, is the North opposed to restructuring of resource control, whatever the interpretation of resource control means,
Yes,
like you said?
let's get this thing clear. There is no question of saying the North oppose this or oppose that. Anything that will be in the best interest of Nigerians, let's lay it on the table. It's not a question of just issuing press releases or shouting or making pronouncements. Each and every one of us, especially the elites, know the due process of getting things done in this country. We have a structure, democratic structure on the ground. And there is no way we can avoid it unless if we have do something else that, God forbid, nobody is praying for it. That is the military to come in. So let's sit on the table and discuss. And we can only do that through representatives at the various levels.
Now, your position is that it is the representative, the legislators that can handle this. The other view is that if this is done, the powers, there will be an encroachment into the powers of these legislators at both the national and state level, and therefore they may not likely want to give up those powers and may not want to look into the issue of restructuring.
Then tell me, what do we do if we don't go through that one? What else do we do? Let me tell you, the 2014 National Conference convened by the former President Goodluck.
There are some recommendations from that confab. So why can't we look at those recommendations?
The conference was just to advise the President. You understand? It has no legal standing. Because whatever that was recommended there was recommended to the President, who in turn is supposed to take it to the National Assembly. There are some policy issues quite okay within the recommendations. There are some issues that require constitutional amendments. There are issues that require maybe some promulgation of acts and other things of that nature. But you see, it's the President that can take that advice to the National Assembly. And I was a member of that National Conference. We finished it in August. And the former President had ample time to take it to the National Assembly. But from what I read in the papers, he took that report just 1 week before he handed over. So you can see there was a lot of delay if really we were genuine or if really wanted that implemented. I think the former president, with due respect, should have taken it to the National Assembly much, much earlier, so that whatever other policies or whatever that requires constitutional amendment would have, the process would have been set in place, and maybe some issues or some of the recommendations would have been effective. But all the same, is never. The report is there. We have so many reports. We have 2005 reports. We have 1994-95 report, and we have 2014 report. All these things will be channeled to the National Assembly so that they can look at, they can take a look at it, and then see where they can make amendments. I mean, that's the only option.
Okay,
No amount of
Alhaji
heavy shouting or restructuring or anything can be effective without following this due process.
All right, Alhaji Biu,
Yes, please.
you have a sitting president or a government of the All Progressives Congress, and that is a party that was never in support of the National Conference ab initio.
Yeah, they didn't even attend.
And that's what I'm saying. And you have majority of these party members in the National Assembly where you are advising or meeting the idea that we take this report too for it to be infused into the Constitution, and of course it will translate to restructuring. How do we begin to convince this party and government under the leadership of President Muhammadu Buhari to take a second look at this process?
Yeah, the best way to go about it is, for example, if regions or states, let's say, okay, the North feel that, well, this is what we want in that 2014 National Conference, then we should mobilize our legislators. Because the issue is not a party issue now. The issue is something that the people are fighting for. So we should mobilize our legislators to effect whatever change we want in our constitution. I mean, this should be the responsibility of other civil society groups, these social cultural groups, and all other groups and what have you. We should be able to engage our legislators, mobilize them, and tell them, so that they see the importance. This is not a question of party issue now, because most of the agitations that are coming now, they are not, in fact, they are agitations that have nothing to do with party or even religion or section. People are just, for example, now the issue of this Biafra thing they are talking about. They said so they have been marginalized, those boys, and all that sort of thing. Fine. You have your legislators. Call them. Engage them in discussion so that they will see the point you want to raise. And if really they are truly representing you, they should be able to take that issue up at the National Assembly or at the State Assembly.
Now, Alhaji Biu, quickly, because we must also let you go. With the possibility of the National Assembly losing some of their powers, losing relevance, do you think they will be keen? They will want to look at the issue of restructuring from their own suggestion?
If they don't, then Nigerians have, they will wait for them for 2019 and get them out. It's as simple as that. Because this is a democracy we are practicing. We have no any other option than this. So if they are not willing, to look at what Nigerians want, then when the time comes, we vote them out. It's as simple as that.
Alhaji Biu, before we let you
but
go.
Apart from that, there is nothing else anybody can do rather than just making statements, and maybe discussing the issue on the pages of newspapers or in the radio and television.
Now, Alhaji Biu, before I let you go,
I mean, that is the practical thing. That is the practical thing. And, well, I don't know. Maybe some people have other options.
Okay. Now, are you of the opinion that this issue or this debate on restructuring should form the focal point of debates as regards those who will be vying for the presidency come 2019? As it is already on. There are aspirants who are on the ground. Some are clamoring for restructuring. Some are campaigning against it. Do you think this is what Nigeria should look for in their candidates?
It should, because from what is happening now, or from what is going on, the campaign for restructuring, in whatever form, well, I don't know, depending on where it will come from. You understand?
Yes.
Then, certainly it should, because if that is what Nigerians want, and if anybody is interested in winning their vote, then he has to make it as his focal point of campaign.
All right, thank you.
There's no way to it.
Thank you very much, Ibrahim Biu, the spokesperson for the Arewa Consultative Forum.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
All right, have a wonderful
Thank you.
day.
Have a wonderful day.
All right, you've listened to his voice and his views. It is only the National Assembly that will help us in solving this riddle at this point. That's the position. He is not totally opposed to restructure or resource control, whatever you call it, but the institution of the legislative arm of government must be used to settle this. And if you feel they are not keen on doing it, 2019 comes in, and then vote them. That's the position. We have a public analyst, a journalist, broadcaster with us in the house to do this together this morning. Biodun Bello, you are welcome once again.
It's nice to be home.
All right, let's start from having what you think about. You listen to Biu's position. What do you think about his submission?
Well, going directly to it, let me say first, this is the voice of the people. We will never forget that for one moment. When anybody comes here or contributes things here, it must be with clarity. We must understand clearly what the person is saying and what we're trying to bring out. As far as Alhaji Ibrahim Biu's contribution goes, the only statutory, peaceful, legal means for any kind of struggle for now is the National Assembly. He is right. That is, if things are okay. Agitations did not just come out of nothing. The national or state assemblies are there when people started talking about restructuring underneath. Now it is now on the front burner. The representatives are still representing us. We voted for them, and people are still talking about it. The only indication that I have seen towards the end of June was that the Senate asked for the 2014 report. They said it should be forwarded to them because they are also part of the society. They are listening and they want to be relevant. Let me make something very clear here. The voter has the right to be wrong. We can choose Dele as our representative if it is Dele we want. You understand that? When we have chosen Dele and he gets there, he's supposed to do exactly what we want, even outside of Dele's campaign. Please note that it is when issues are raised, situation arises in societies, those who lead that society must rise up and attend to those issues. It is not compulsory that because Dele campaigned to us that is going to build 28 schools. And that is why we voted for him. We have now realized that Dele's 28 schools is not going to be enough for us. So we now say, okay, look, Representative Dele, we want this, this, and this. He is duty bound based on our contract of vote to now move in and satisfy us. All Alhaji Biu is saying is correct. Those are constituted authority. But above those is the voter. The Nigerians who put them there. And the agitation now is now cross-board. Whether you are Arewa or Indigo or whatever, everybody is now talking about this issue. The fact that we are talking about it alone should capture the attention of all those who are leaders in all stratas of leadership and say, what are these people talking about? Why are we talking about it?
The next question on that is,
yes,
what exactly is restructuring? Because that's another point in which people get confused.
All right.
Like Bill said, some think it's resource control, some think it's let my people go, some people think it's regionalism, devolution of powers. What exactly is this restructuring that we're talking
about? Let us look at it.
How will it work?
Let us look at it in terms of English first, just as a reference. When you restructure, it means that you have a structure on ground which has a defect. And you want to now change that structure so that it can suit your purpose and serve you well. A structure like your house, Tobi, you have you and your wife alone, 1-bedroom apartment. Okay? And now, by the grace of God, the woman gets pregnant, give birth to twins. Definitely, you will have to do some restructuring in that house to accommodate the new people coming in. That is very practical and physical. Let us bring it to the issue of Nigeria. Why are we now talking about restructuring? This country in 1960 had a population that is far, far less than half of what we are supposed to be now. The infrastructures and all the paraphernalia of public use were not as in, we didn't need them much as we need them now. So this country, for example, when you look at that alone, needs to be restructured. From the 1963 Constitution, which gave us the Republican Constitution, we started the regions. Now, we have graduated from there. The regions failed, please note this, and resulted into war. Because the military guys were ambitious. It was the fashion that time for military governments to accuse politicians and take over. They did. A group of military adventurers of Igbo ilk took out all the Hausa or northern leaders, including few Yorubas.
Like called the Hausa Fulani.
Yes, not a single Hausa man, Igbo man was affected. And immediately after that, Rosie came in with his unitary government. That was when the regions failed. Even though in 1963 Midwest had been created. All of this led to, okay, how can this one happen? The Hausas did a reprisal coup. Killed everybody, and even including Fajui, who was trying to defend Rosie, and so many other people. And obviously from that point, we must note, history must teach us, and we must learn that it was difficult to even control the Nigerian army until they got a northern officer who could give them command. All the other senior officers in the army who are not from the north, they did not obey them. Ademole Gun, Adebayo, all of them. Gun was junior to all of them.
Ademole Gun was actually killed.
Yes, the most senior.
The Kantaku.
So they said all of them, they didn't. So from there, we had an hegemonious north, so pretending and portraying superiority over the rest of Nigeria. The amalgamation of 1914 notwithstanding, the regions, especially the western region, was on a very straight way to becoming a real El Dorado, using Tobi's World Republic here, under Awolowo and the rest of it. The east was picking up, the north was backward. Don't take any offense, I'm a northern, I remember. My mother is from Zaria. So, I know exactly what happened in 1967. Just a quick lesson for everybody. I was a 10-year-old boy in 1967 when the Civil War broke, my father was living in the SS quarters, railways, European quarters. And all the Igbos that were there were being killed. I saw with my own very eye how people were being thrown into wells to fill wells. In our own house, SS13, I was the youngest person that would climb off the roof to go and give food to those who were hidden there. And then at night, the Yorubas and the Hausas would take their colleagues to the goods train. Dele, you remember goods train, the one that will carry Malu and all that, so that they can ship them to Iloni. That kind of experience, God forbid, should not repeat itself. So if you are talking of restructuring, we are not talking about balkanizing. We are not talking about divided. We are talking about what is wrong. Let us correct it, and this is what is wrong. One, politically, Nigerians cannot express themselves. There is no good governance if, for example, you have 29 million young Nigerians looking for a job. They are all there. Today, as at to this morning, I was browsing on the NBS, Nigerian Bureau of Statistics, and they said that living under $2 per day, 62.1% Nigerians are living under $2 per day. As much as Fashola is trying, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this, 122 million Nigerians do not have light. According to Water Aids, 45 million Nigerians are drinking directly from nature. Those who have it don't have it constantly. And as a result, 45,761 children die of diarrhea every month in Nigeria. Another waterborne disease. If you go to the market, ask Yashade or Ya Yusuf, how much did she buy a Congo of Gary yesterday? Because you said you want to bring it to the layman's thing, let us understand it. How much it is selling it in the market today? How many pieces of pepper did you buy? At what rate? There is poverty in the land, irrespective of any party, irrespective of any change. So, what do we now restructure? Number one, we're in a recession. Our economy is bad. We need to restructure our expenditure. If you are broke at home, you give your child 100 naira every day, daily, and then suddenly you are broke. Maybe we, the owners of Rock City, we the people did not pay your salary because we are the owner of the station. You just collect your salary here, and you have not got it or it is delayed. You can tell your child, take 15 naira for today. Where is that clear evidence of that kind of prudence in the reduction of what our government is spending? Our government is too expensive. The legislature is too large. The entourage in a governor's convoy cost over ₦1 million every day. Let us put it to calculation. This has to be restructured. Governance as expenditure, expensive governance has to be reduced. That is number one. Number two, the people who are the bosses of everybody are not happy because they are not having what they think they will have. Government cannot just sit down and say, we promise you this, we promise you that. It is not relevant. What is relevant is what is happening now, Dele and Tobi. What is happening now is what is relevant. The people are in want, not need. They don't have what it takes for them to survive. You can say, this is what I want to do, 22-kilometer road. I want to build bridges. I want to have power. But those who use those roads and use that power must have something inside their stomach. There should be an instant look at how to assuage the people. Let us go back to the Paris Club money, 560 billion that was given to all the states so that people can have relief. How many of those states use that money to assuage the suffering of our people? So you have a central government that is so strong, is always dishing it out. This is what we have to restructure. But I'm also afraid, I must tell you now, when you come to the states, It's okay, we are devolving powers to the state. What happens to the states and the local government? Obasanjo told us that our governors are living like emperors. He said it publicly. So that power has to be called, and that is political. Then you now come to people who are saying resource control and all that, and this. Ogun State, I have done this year before. Ogun State is the largest producer of granite in Nigeria. That's why you have all those cement factory. Dele, I asked you the other time, Tobi, I asked you the other time I was here. Where is a single factory in our state that is using granite as a major, what do you call it now, raw material for production? Is it tiles or what? Where is it? We don't have it. We have always been relying on going to Abuja and coming back. Going to Abuja and coming back. That has to change if we are going to enjoy what is called restructuring. We have not talked about federating units and all that and true federation, but we are talking first of good governance. Whether it comes from states, regions, or divisions, or provinces, or whatever. What restructuring means, and that should be clear to everybody, is that the people are asking for good governance.
What then is federating unit, regionalism? Where and when will this come into restructuring?
This is it. If, for example, you have a National Assembly that is that large, and we say we want to restructure, we have to reduce it. You have to reduce the number of, okay, the 3 regions or the 4 regions. They have 4 governors. Okay? They have their own assemblies. The best out of them are chosen to represent everybody at the federal. That's an option. Now that we have 36 states, maybe only 1 state, I'm just saying, maybe one per state will go to the federal to sit down every month and say this, and this. But more importantly, even the 2014 district that we're talking about still gave 45% to federal government. For me, it's still large, 35% to state government, then 22.5% to local government. Now, if we must restructure effectively, Dele, power must go back much more to the local government, the municipalities, the CDA, or what do you call it, so that people can feel it, so that people can know it. We have representatives in the assembly, we have representatives in the House of Rep, we have senators. When was the last time you spoke to one?
That's the other point, because we started this by identifying these people, the legislators, as the only structure that can legally, constitutionally solve this. But like you just said, they appear to be the structure that will be most battered by this law. You have just said we must reduce the number.
Yes.
We must reduce how much we spend on them.
Yes.
Then how do you think the man who has the sword will use it to sever his own neck?
I think Alhaji Biu will answer that question for us.
No, we are still waiting for
I think Alhaji Biu answered that question for us. Within all reasonable thinking and intelligent submissions, we cannot force anything. If, like, we were going back to candidate Dele now, we sent him there, go and do this for us. This is what we want now. He cannot do it. Well, simply take your card and vote him out.
If that is it, we have been saying vote out, vote out, vote out. We find some of them coming back, getting second term, getting
and third time, and fourth time, and all that.
Unless the person do not do the bidding of the elite, the masters, who are not part of the people.
Now we are now getting to the real the real discussion of restructuring. The Nigerian political environment has been taken over by the political elite. This big man thing, that very big man that tells Tobi that your very effective friend cannot be a councillor. I have another person.
Well, it's not this big man that will vote.
He's not that big man. That's the people.
One man,
one vote. Yeah. Now, you have all the others from that councillorship to the presidency. Some people have cornered the political will or the political expression, not the will, of our people, and they are controlling it playing with it.
Okay,
This is the political elite.
that would be. Let me quickly take you to one major issue that I don't want us to lose sight of, and that is what has made this call and agitation for restructuring so loud that Nigerians are getting deafened by it. The Igbos that you talked about, thousands, millions, almost massacred. You witnessed it firsthand.
Almost 3 million people died.
Now, if you look at the casualties on both sides, it appears that that bad blood is still very much there. How do we pacify these people? How do we heal the wounds of the past first? And secondly, these are the people calling for secession. Even though the Southeast leaders met yesterday with the governors and the leaders of thought, members of the National Assembly from that region, and say, no, we don't want secession. What we want is restructuring. But first, they've been talking about one more state in their region. If we do that, will we be able to pacify that region? And when we leave the southeast, go to the south-south of the Niger Delta, how do we pacify those who believe that they are the golden goose that lays the golden eggs, and we just cook it, eat it, and give them?
No, cook it, share it.
Cook it,
And then-
share it, and eat
And
it.
then you eat it
And then
without
you
doing
give them the
anything.
crumbs, or maybe give them the shell.
I think there is something that I will use there as a very clear analysis. Dele, you know Texas.
The state
That
of
is
Texas.
the state of Texas. That is the headquarters of United States oil. In fact, about 73% of the oil comes from Texas in the United States. You need to go to Texas and see for yourself what is there. What that oil money has done for Texas. What oil money has done for Texas is what Nigerian oil money should do for the Niger Delta. You just need to go and see it. And that is a template that we have not reached. Cleaning Ogoni land. What do you call it? NDDC. Ministry of... That's not what we're talking about. The American government has got a regulation. If you want to do oil business, go and make your impact felt in Texas. It is probably the highest city, most expensive, everything in the United States. You find hotels, you find work, you can find everything. That is number one. For the issue of Biafra, I think it is our duty. I, as an expert in mass literacy, I think it is an omission of history, really, that the youths that came after the war did not know exactly the true position, the true history, and are not presently, in my own opinion, being led well. Even the person that is leading, or those who are leading them, I think have half information and history of what actually happened that time. We have not properly informed the youth. In Enugu State, we have the largest deposit of coal in Nigeria. What are we doing with it? Nothing. And a lot of the Igbo ilk, which I respect their entrepreneurship, are all over Nigeria. They have taken over the commerces of almost every market. So how do you get such a people to go back to anywhere? So it's like fighting yourself. That is what I mean by the gap, information gap there. So if we are going to really look at this thing, I agree with Alhaji Ibrahim Biu that we need to sit down. I also agree with Dele that you cannot give me a sword and ask me to cut my head off. It's not possible. I'd rather cut your own. So where do we go from here? I'm sure we'll be back.
All right, we'll be back after the 10 o'clock news to continue with those questions. Where do we go from here? We are looking at restructuring in the context of events in Nigeria. What exactly is restructuring? We earlier spoke with Ibrahim Biu, who is the spokesperson of the ACF, and we have with us in the studio a public analyst, Biodun Bello. We'll be back after the 10 o'clock news. Don't go anywhere. All right, yes, about 15 minutes past the hour of 10. It's still Daybreak Show on Rock City 101.9 FM. Yes, the voice of the people, Citizens Forum this morning talking about restructuring, that new agenda in town that appears to be an idea whose time has come. But what exactly is restructuring? what will be its implications? How can we achieve it if eventually we get there? That's what we are looking at this morning. Earlier on, we spoke with the spokesperson of the Arewa Consultative Forum, the umbrella body of the North. Ibrahim Biu is his name, and you heard him say only the National Assembly is the structure recognized, and they are the ones who have the powers to do that. But if you are scared that they may not want to do so, he says, wait for them, corner them in 2019, and use your thumb printing, your vote, to set them away. We have with us in the house here, Biodun Bello. Okay, let's now look at what federating units really means. How will it operate? Some people have also said regionalism, it's an outdated thing, it can no longer function, things have changed. But federating units, how is it different from regionalism? What exactly is federating unit?
Well, you see, about 1,800 years ago, the Greeks gave us democracy. And since then, they have said it's the best form of government. But you remember, the Greek, before they left with all their philosophies and all that, they had people in various parts of Greece who will be in charge of areas, small areas, and who will now go to the center to report. Please note that, not to collect money. Federating units, let us look at it from the point of fiscal federation. What is fiscal? Is that one particular unit of an area can provide, God has given us free air that we breathe, can provide food for the people in that area, can provide water for the people in that area. They can provide electricity and power for the people in that area, however small or large the particular unit is. Now, bring it home, Dele. Which of the 36 states in Nigeria can provide the basic human amenities for these people without any drop from the FAAC, account? Which one? Maybe you will say Lagos, but I will tell you, even Lagos, as at this morning, is the most indebted state in Nigeria. They have the facilities and all the things to pay, I agree. When they count the first 5, 6, 7 states, they put Ogun there. I don't disagree, I'm proud. But you and I know the kind of inadequacies that we have in Ogun State. So federating unit simply means that you can stand on your own. Let us look at it from those days that we used to live in estates. Tobi cannot leave his house and come and beg me for Gary in my own house. You now understand it. But I not go and knock on Dele's door and say, everybody must be able to provide for what they consume. If we bring it as low as that, you are responsible for yourself. Our governors will need to work harder. Our houses of assemblies will need to work harder. The local government will need to work harder. The councillor will have to look at how to make money, not how to collect it. This is the direct interpretation of federated units. The local government will have to run the clinics without waiting for the government to come and give them. Yes,
for themselves
by themselves. So that is federating units. And so when we now go to the center, we're not breaking away from the center. We're not cancelling the name Nigeria. God forbid I'm a Nigerian. When you now go to the center, you now go to negotiate with what your people want. This is what my people want from the center. And this is what we are doing. And this is exactly the meaning of fiscal federation, which interprets to federating units. 36 states and federal capital territory. Remove the FAAC account.
The federal accounts
and nothing will happen in all those states. So they are not federating units.
So there won't be anything.
There won't be anything to federal. So That is exactly what we have to restructure. So that if, for example, we talk of granite here, we maximize our income, revenue and all that from granite. Open other avenues in the states, like the government is currently doing, but a lot more had to be done for us to say, hey, Abuja, keep quiet. We put our money in our bank. We're not even coming for the meeting. When do we get to that level? When do we get to that level of not owing anybody, of not using various types of arm twisting to collect money? Okay, I am basically unhappy about what I heard, and I confirmed it. I told you that teachers from level 7 to 13 are asked to pay some kind of money because they want to verify them. 8,000 naira. Why? It is not their own purview at all to pay such money. If we are verifying, it is governments or the verifiers owner. So those things has to be broken down, even up to the farakoi in the market. The boys on the street that are giving you receipts for your vehicle and all that. All of us has to double yours, and that is when you become a real federative unit you can provide for your house.
Okay, now the three arms of government obviously needs restructuring. You've talked about the executive at the federal and the state level. What about the legislature and of course the judiciary?
Let me say categorically here again, for the purpose of those who know the meaning of paying how many daily? 390 something?
360, 109,
Nine.
469.
Yes.
69.
Whatever you say their salaries are, don't let us debate it. Let us cut it into 3. But it is not Buhari that should be giving them the money. Let their money come statutorily to them. Let them have financial independence so that they can do their jobs well. Let us cut off all those areas in which they are having extra money that doesn't belong to them. I'll give you an example. Recently, they went about all over Nigeria trying to say they are doing boreholes, the National Assembly, and they are looking for where to do it. And they gave this to contractors that are doing all over the place. What is the Ministry of Water Resources doing? That one should have gone to them. If the money is coming from their own account, it will have been seriously monitored. The lawmakers should make laws for God's sake. They should carry out their supervisory important role of going back to check if what has been said had been done. They should stop being contractors, and there's a particular place in Ajelende, 10 kilometers outside of Ibadan. A former senator built a borehole there, and it worked for only one day. What do you call it? Billboard is still there, Dele. And under that particular billboard, that borehole has become a refuse dump. I saw it with my UNESCO colleagues. We took pictures of it. They won't mention the senator, but it's no more there. That is supposed to be a community project, or what do you call it? Constituency project. Now, this one is one thing, apart from the reduction in number, which if we use what we want to get, they should be able to face what they're doing. The kind of debate, robust debate that we have on the floors of the 2 houses shows that those people there are seriously intelligent. They know our problem. My problem is they know our problem, they hear us, but they don't listen. Hearing you is different from listening to you. They don't listen to us, and they just wanted to, okay, say it. Say what you want to say, and that is all is passed. They're not doing what the people want. And that is, as for the judiciary, what has happened recently, it brings a lot of really, what do you call it, bad taste in the mouth. The judiciary, for example, should not be appointed by the executive. Maybe we need to vote for them, including even INEC. That's my own opinion. The judiciary has been paraded, not actually proved anyway, as corrupt. Judges have been taken to court and a lot of things happened. And but the Judicial Council of Nigeria, JCN, has freed some of them. They said they can go back to their work. There is a big question mark in whether you can trust a judge. I still want to trust a judge, in as long as he sits there and wears the robe. I respect my Lord. But aspersions and accusations have been passed at them that requires that one, judiciary should be financially independent, and if possibly, nobody should tell the chief judge who is next. It should be automatic.
Okay, before we allow our listeners to participate, let me ask you, Biodun Bello, from all you've read, from all you've seen, analysis and all sorts, the youths in the eastern region, or the Biafra, like they call it, is this what they want, or they just want to belong to Republic of Biafra?
All right. There
Is
was
this
somebody who was
restructuring
trying.
you have spoken
There
about
was somebody who was
what they
trying to
want?
answer that question. A very, very respected elder statement in Nigeria, the former Secretary General of the Commonwealth.
No, because it's obvious that the elders
Yes.
there are different in thought
Yeah, you are right.
from the youth. So that's why it specifically asks the youths.
Baba Emeka Ayoku said, if, for example, a Igbo man cannot become president, there is a big question mark in the unity of Nigeria as far as the Igbos are concerned. If we are asking them to go and wait until 2023, as far as Igbos are concerned, there is a big problem. During all the elected, since 1999, Igbo man has not been vice president, not to talk of president. That agitates them as a people. Number two, the derelicts of the Civil War are still there in Eastern Nigeria. If you visit that, the RRR, Reconciliation,
Rehabilitation,
Rehabilitation,
Reintegration.
Reintegration, did not work. While it worked in other parts of Nigeria. For example, those Igbos that left their properties in the north went back and got them back. But the destruction of war in the east, it's not been properly.
So do you think with this restructuring that we've spoken about all along, when we have good governance, reduction, good financial management and resources, do you think this will stop that, or they just simply want to belong to Biafra?
Dele, I don't think so. What is the meaning of Biafra? Even to those youths who are agitating, they don't know. I think every responsible Igbo man will want to be a Nigerian, but will also want to be respected. The concept of Biafra, I think, is grandstanding by the likes of Kano, who even doesn't even know the history, apologies to him, of what led to the war because of his age. So, but let me tell you something that has come out of it that is dangerous. The issue of Biafra is now slowly becoming a concept of campaign. I was reading Baba Bode Shobowale, you remember him, in the Vanguard, and he said he witnessed a situation where when Kanu walks on the street, people would run out and be hailing him. When he gestures, you say, hey. When he does that, you say, hey. These are young people that need to be reorientated before Biafra consumes them. Biafra is not going to solve the problem of Igbo.
All right, yes, sir. At this point, we must let you be a part of it. Let's get your own thoughts. Questions for our guests, Biodun Bello, if you have any.
Fatu is my name. Reporting from Abeokuta. Good morning, Tobi.
Good morning, my brother.
Restructuring. Anybody that loves this country will support. I'm afraid the fear of the northerners, I don't know, is it backs to the era when Anthony Nahoro said to the British that immediately, and the northerners said
as soon as possible. But at the end of the day, when we have that independence, the North is even enjoying it. They are the number one beneficiaries. So there's need to really educate the Northerners that there's benefit for all the Nigerians in this restructuring. Restructuring in the area of economy, sharing of revenue sharing formula, resource control. In the area of politics, we talk of level of government, whether we still need bicameral or unicameral. Sharing among the federal, state, and local government level that would give us the desired federalism. The salary and allowances of political funders, is it much or is it right? We need to look into all this so that whatever the government resources, they will have enough resources to serve, to deliver the required dividends of the democracy for Nigerians. There's need for restructuring.
Thank you.
Thank you, and God bless Nigeria. Good morning.
Okay, we'll add this one.
So agree with me by this restructuring will not ahead. Because people that are saying it is people that never see it. But people that is there, they are not thinking of it. I know anybody that wants to go for another election will go and enter into Igbo, ask them if you vote for me, I will do this, I will do that. There are so many promises that they promise Igbos. Like our past president that promised a lot. Still, we did not get anything. My dear brother, after the River Niger down towards that on Nissan, Igbo State, you would think that that place doesn't belong to Nigeria. Let's just get things right. Today, our government forgets some certain people. Even if you go back to the food that they are giving the children, there are some areas that they don't pay the food to. And they only go there for empty promises. You said this agitation will be over. It's not going to be over. I know that they only want to come in. Oh no, no government that enter there will promise empty promises. I wonder that, you know that when you are not useful, you are useless in some certain area. If you give me what do to me, I don't think that I'll be fighting for something. Give me what do to me, I will support you. But if you did not give me what do to me, the peace will not ever reign. Have a nice day.
All right, thank you. Let's move away from the telephone lines temporarily. Let's get Biodun's reaction and then we'll take the messages.
Big Daddy spoke like Emeka.
He's Emeka.
I know. He knows what I'm talking. I know him.
And I also know that he's Emeka. I'm confirmed.
No, but then I agree with everything you have
also
said. If you give to every strata of a society what they actually have a right to, agitations will stop. It will remain the problem of, okay, let us progress, endure, and understand each other. But if you deny people what they are entitled to, agitations will go on. Let me tell you something.
But sorry, on this occasion, with the examples of events we have, who is denying who of something? The Southeast, at least since 1999, we've never had a Westerner rule any of the states. Neither have we ever had a Hausa Fulani being governor in any of the states. So who is denying who?
Have you got
the same
Dele, have you got Igbo vice president or president at
that's at the federal, but for the states.
For the states, it is their business. What we're talking about now, that is causing
Lagos is
agitation.
not progressing from federal influence or whatever it is. So Lagos is progressing because the governors who have been there had dreams and ideas they pursued.
Dele, are you saying that the governors of the East are not providing what they are supposed to provide for their people? Let us leave that for another debate. The Igbos who are in the East, they know. Since Okorocha got there, from all indications, there has been a lot of improvement in terms of what Imo State has got. Others have been there, they have done theirs. There is this governor, Willie Obiano, that is doing fantastically well, going by just, yes. And a lot of others are there. But we are talking about federating units, don't forget. And that remains important. Emeka, thank you very much. That is noted. Everybody will get what is due to them. Johnson, oh sorry, Honorable Johnson Olufatuki, my brother, restructuring is ripe. We have to do it all the way. I also agree with you because you did not ask me any question. I would have just loved you to tell us what it takes to be in the House of Assembly and what they hand. That's just on a lighter mood, my brother. Thank you. For Akemi, yes, unity is important. Dominance is wrong. And we must have what we call conscience. I also agree with you. Honorable Lanrejaji from the People's Parliament. I always love him when he says that. Well, we have a relationship in Nigeria with the past. I think I want to say something here, and this goes for you too. Leave the rest of IBB and all of them alone. Now that they are born again, let us look at our problems and see how we can solve them.
All right, let's go to the tweets and messages. Gafar Olusegun Ismaila tweeted this. A very good submission from Double B. Professor Biodun Bello, frank and straight to the point. Your objectivity is appreciated. IPOB leaders had forgotten history, and that is why CAN is drumming war. Ideology should be key in separatism. In an unjust society, every onlooker is either a coward or a traitor. Poor governance is leading to agitations. And in an informed society, all this effect of bad governance will not be allowed to happen. However, we can amend now. Those are tweets from Gafar Olusegun Ismaila. Barry Adeliji says, if we truly practice real federalism, the average Nigerian would not be agitating for restructuring. Presently, we practice a unitary system of government. Adeoye Boluwatife says, waiting till the end of tenure to vote out non-performing leaders should be looked into. The country can be ruined even in 6 months of misrule. Shegun Balalola says, our current federal system of government is too large and too expensive to run. Adeoye Boluwatife once again says, I hope the recalling process currently ongoing in Kogi is successful. That will send a strong signal to these selfish legislators. Shegun Balalola says, going back to confederalism will give freedom to the regions to run their government according to their political beliefs. At the long run, regional governments will put an end to all the agitations going on all over the country. Yemi Da Vinci says it is a shame that people with such knowledge and erudition are not representing us at all levels. Good submissions by Mr. Bello. I also agree with Alhaji Biu that the legal way to go for restructuring is National Assembly, but sovereignty resides with the people, not the representatives. The people have the power over and above the National Assembly. If the people that we want to scrap democracy itself, we have the power. The dry challenge of the restructuring call is a lack of agreement of points of restructuring and how such restructuring can peacefully occur. Odumari Babatunde tweeted, like I said earlier, restructuring is the way. No more monkey they walk, baboon they chop. Nothing like one region making revenue and other regions will even benefit more than the region that generated the revenue. Like Double B said, it will now become all man for himself. Oh, Shishe, oh, Jem. Okay, that's Odumari Babatunde. Dele tweeted, how will restructuring be achieved? Is it the politicians that are feeding fat on the resources of the nation, or who? Okay, Yemi Da Vinci once again, I think the way to go is vote in legislators come 2019 who will commit to radical constitutional change within a year in office. Kimbola tweeted, the belief that Northerners are afraid of restructuring is a joke. No region will fail to exist with restructure. Alright, let's go to the short code messages. This one says, as good as restructuring Nigeria is, the agitation will continue except there is equity, justice, and love. Otherwise, the dissolution of Nigeria is the best. Bobaka sent in that one, okay. Please tone it down, Abubakar. This one says, well done, Rock City FM. The local government has been reduced to zero in terms of revenue generation, agriculture, health, sanitation, and road maintenance in this country as a third tier of government. It has been hijacked by some state governments. May God help us. That's coming from Shuaga. And this one says, may I humbly appeal to the state governments to look into the plight of local government pensioners over the delay of their payment pensions. Okay, still Shuaga. Those asking this administration to restructure Nigeria are missing the point. Structure as component of urgent people's constitution is sovereign responsibility of the citizenry through elected constituent assembly under a referendum to be democratic, never since 1914 amalgamation. That's Cosmos. Let's not deceive ourselves by that 2017 political language called restructuring. It's either we go back fully to true federalism or every nation parts ways. As Chibuike from Kuto. I disagree with the guest. How come a coup by more than 28 men of Nigerian army with only 4 Igbo officers and more Hausas and Yorubas be an Igbo coup? That's Abubakar sending that one. Bibi, your mention of railways this morning made me shed tears. In my presence as a small boy, Igbos and those mistaken for Igbos were clubbed with Hausas at the railway station, Zaria. Today, 2017, Nigeria has not learned any lesson. That's Kayode from Randa. Restructuring is inevitable. Military created unitary system to benefit the North with 19 states and 17 states for the South. Local government is the worst injustice. 2/3 of 774 local governments in Nigeria are in the North. For them to have majority seat in the House of Reps and the Senate. Allocations from crude oil revenue with no economic input from the North. Otumba Adebo sent in that.
All right, let's have 2 calls, no more than 2 calls to it, and we'll come back to Biodun Bello and your tweets and messages.
Olushola Johnson, we're not talking about the Senate or the other legislative, we're talking about the presidency. We're not talking about the presidency after or before 1999. And that agitates the mind. If the people of Igbo Hill are not holding their leaders responsible or they are not holding them to what they should do, and it is now turning on to affect the whole of Nigerians, it is our problem. It is not their problem. So thank you very much. We try and do that. If we put Kayode there as a manager, he would like to use the scientific and not the analog thing and all that. But what you're managing is very, very important. We are talking about the people in Nigeria now, and the real problem is that most of our leaders don't even know what they are managing. There was a very small thing we did in Nasarawa State. So many Nigerian leaders were there. They couldn't even operate the simple ICT and all that. So if that is what Kayode is talking about, we need modern things. But before you even have those modern things, we need to restructure our characters, which is very, very important. For me, the local government election should be the most important election. It should precede all other elections, and we should be very serious about it. There should be independent candidates. Anybody that is in the local government that is important. Leaders should stop giving us local government this, councillor this. This is who will decide who becomes the councillor. Not, no. Let the people of Nigeria take their country back. And that is very, very important for us now. That is one restructuring that matters. When people spend 8 years in government, governors and all that, they still want somebody to come in. And this is what I want to put there. The people are the ones that are supposed to decide what they want. And even if their choice is wrong,
all right,
they have the right to be wrong.
Okay, sorry at this junction we have to end it. Just don't worry, your messages are on there. Let's keep the debate going on. Tomorrow, by the grace of God, we'll be back fresh on the program. Quick Citizens Forum Daybreak Show, Rock City 101.9 FM. Dele Ayodo is my name. I say God bless you all. God bless Nigeria. God bless Rock City.
Thank you so much. That would be Biodun Bello. As an expert, when you talk about mass literacy, we appreciate you for honoring our invitation.
Thank you very much.
I am Tobi Joseph. Have a wonderful day.